Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. We have a very special guest, my friend, who is the host of the Paranormal Karen podcast, and also a very funny comedian, Karen Rontowski. Karen, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good tonight. Yes, I have all my predictions ready. Some of them have been ready for a while, but I think your fans are going to have fun with them.
Well, before we get into that, I do want to talk. If you don't want to talk about it, that's cool. But I know you had to go through a little something during this whole Karen crisis, which I felt really bad because I'm like, I love my friend Karen Rontowski, but so what happened? You like got called a Karen incorrectly or something?
So everybody was into disliking Karens and stuff. And at first I was like, well, I don't get that. And then somebody sent me an email and they said, you have to see this link. And when people do that on Facebook, you think, oh, is this, you know what I mean? How they send you that thing, is this you? But it really was me. And some guy was putting out these videos that I was not in, that were women going nuts and screaming at people. Right. And then he said something like, it's Karen's video, and whose picture was on the front but mine. He had my 8x10, and it was getting millions of views, and YouTube was no help at all. And then finally somebody, I don't know, went to his YouTube channel and found his email. So I emailed him in YouTube and said, do I need to find a lawyer? And the guy was like, no, it's coming down. And he took it down, but I was like, it was kind of a good thing because I was done with social media after that, and I left it, and I haven't gone back at all. So,
oh, I'm jealous. You're just off social media. Oh,
yeah, I just started with Twitter again, posting jokes and then going away. But man, it was one of those things where you go, oh yeah, I don't want to be famous. That was just weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's like, I want just enough to where I can have financial and creative freedom, but not more than that. Like, just because we've both been in comedy for a long time, and we've seen friends of ours like blow up, and there's always that, oh man, if we're struggling to pay bills, like, oh, I wish I had that. And then you're like, oh no, there's TMZ hiding in their garbage cans, or yes, they just wore a blue hat, and then on social media is like, they hate murder blue hats or whatever, some crazy shit happens. And the name thing, I'm always worried, just all these people in the 30s in Germany were called Adolf. None of them did anything wrong. And then that name is I'm just worried like some guy named Graham is just going to be a serial killer. He's just going to have a necklace of ears or something. And then it's like, oh, Graham Elwood's the murderer. No, I didn't. And what happened to you was like terrifying, that they just took you're the face of all these awful women flipping out in public.
I know. And he took it right off my website. And I think he used a lot of other Karens too. So it was just weird. But it was a good thing I didn't have my Hitler toothbrush mustache when that happened. It would have been doubly bad.
Well, thank God you shaved that right off before that would have been, oh God. Oh, I'm just like, you told me that. And I was like, oh, that's just awful.
Oh, it was so, but YouTube was like not helping me at all. That's what was worse. But
of course, that's why we're here on Rockfin, because YouTube is like literally unsubscribing people from all of our channels. Like, so let's get into it. Okay. Let's get into the reading. So, myself and this audience, we're very much a lot of lefties, like glad Trump's gone, but not excited about Biden at all. Not seeing a lot of change going to happen. Just sort of, that's this audience. That's where we're at now. I don't want to speak for my whole audience. That's where I'm at, and I think a lot of my viewers are. But so since that Saturday they declared Biden the winner, Trump hasn't done anything other than go golfing. Mike Pence, I guess, has disappeared. I don't know. Has anyone seen where Mike is? Maybe he's like realizing he's gay and trying to shock it out of himself. I don't know what's happening. Maybe he just said, fuck it, I'm going to have lunch with a woman. I don't care anymore. So, there's 71 or some days before Trump is out legally, before most countries just like make it quick. We like dragging it on in America. That's what we do.
Exactly.
So there's 70 some days of Biden before Biden gets sworn in. So I guess the prediction is like, what do you see like Trump doing? And then what happens with this 4 years of Biden and Harris?
Okay. So, and you're gonna be very surprised at what I say, and so everybody can check me in the next 2 months. I think on January 20th, we're gonna find out the White House is in escrow.
Okay, good to know. Write that down. Okay, good to know.
No, first of all, the election is not done. And I'm a little bit like you. I am a revolutionary. I think the whole thing has to go down and we have to rebuild it. But I was really happy to see Trump lose.
Sure.
But we're not done. And there could be some trouble where he ends up going to his Supreme Court and they may actually declare him president. I know. And here's the other thing. This is what I've been telling all my clients, because I knew something was coming in March, and from like December to January, I was like, just be ready. It's going to be bigger than 9/11. And I didn't know it was going to be a plague, but I knew.
I want to interject real quick, because you're absolutely correct. To anybody watching who's like not sure if they believe in this stuff, I just want to say, I grew up with hippie parents, and my dad would do tarot card reading. So I sort of grew up with this. So it's not a foreign, crazy concept to me, but I am very skeptical of most things. You did a reading for me in December. You did several. You did one for me personally, and then you did one at the Comedy Film Nerds. We did our final show. You were on the stage with Ron Placone, actually. And you talked about there was going to be some big crazy thing. You talked about the year ahead. And you did. I have heard you said that there was some big event. You're like, it might not be a good. And I was like, all right, huh? And you called. I mean, you didn't say, oh, COVID-19. You didn't drop a card and go, up COVID-19. But you said a big. You said a big thing was, and it was more than just like this sort of vague thing that like some phone psychic scam artist just like something's gonna happen. Oh, really?
No, it was gonna. I knew it was gonna be bigger than 9/11, which right. It kind of is.
It is. Because it affected. I mean, 9/11 impacted a lot of the world, but it didn't affect the whole world. Like the whole world has been shut down. The whole world's economy. I mean, there's 85% less air travel around the globe. Everybody, any economy that was based on travel or tourism is done, which is like huge portions of the world. So that's why I was like, you've made some predictions in my life personally that were dead on, that I never saw coming. And then you made that one, which I was like, you said bigger than 9/11. This is absolutely bigger than 9/11. Definitely for the United States, but for the whole world. The whole world has been impacted by this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to make that point. How good you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll always take that. And here's the weird thing that people should be ready for now is I really think we're going to have a civil war, and I see it happening soon. And it's not just about the election. I feel like it's going to be three things that are going to sort of happen all at once. And I've told all my clients, November to January, stock food or whatever you do, like really plan on being in. I think it's going to be a little more intense than COVID. Hopefully this is my prediction that I'm wrong on. But right. There could be like one thing after the other. But there's a couple of dates to watch for. I believe it's December 20th and the inauguration day. Those could be very, very violent days. But I think something's happening beforehand that we will all kind of be, we'll be a little bit paralyzed by it. But I really think it's all about to go down. And I have seen other psychics, I'm not this sure, but I have seen other psychics say no more presidents, that will be done after this. Like literally in February, there could not be a president.
Well, I mean, one of the things we've talked about on this show is that if America, and I've been worried about it myself, if America goes into a complete collapse of a civil war, well, one of the things when you talk about other factors, from the research I've done and talking to, there's going to be an economic collapse is coming. Like, and this isn't just like lefties or whatever. This is like financial experts are predicting this. And I think that's going to be part of maybe one of the impetuses of the Civil War. And when that happens, what could come out of that is, I mean, I've said this on this show. I don't think 5 years from now, and you're saying it might even be way, way sooner, 5 to 10 years from now, I don't see America looking like it does now with 50 states. We might break off into 5 or 6 different countries, like the Western states become their own thing. And that, I don't know, like kind of what happened when the Soviet Union collapsed is a bunch of these countries that were under Soviet rule all became their own countries again. Now, we don't have that sort of history. Well, Native Americans would dispute that and they would be correct. But so, yeah, that could be part of what you're like, when I hear the like no more presidents. Yeah.
There's going to also be a big reveal. Okay. And what I mean by that is what is the Federal Reserve doing? Okay. Like, and I don't know what that is, but I know it will have to do with our money. There could be a collapse of currency. And also there's going to be something about media coming out, like the things they haven't shown us, or it's probably going to be bigger than, hey, look how one-sided MSNBC is, or look how one-sided Fox is. It's going to be bigger stuff is sort of going to be uncovered. And I almost feel like people, I don't even know if it's just going to be Trump people versus Biden people. It might just be, people fighting about anything, people trying to burn down the White House, all kinds of stuff like that. But it's very interesting in astrology. I believe they're called Sabian symbols. And Donald Trump's Sabian symbol was the wrecking ball. He was to come in and ruin everything. He was to knock it down so that we can build it back up. So there's a weird way that he almost should be president because of how bad he is. Because he's the other guy. I think like when Trump and Hillary were running, sort of the astrology on it was, will the country can die of cancer with Hillary or have a heart attack with Trump, and we chose the heart attack. So yeah. So with Biden, nothing.
We could be in chemo. We could have been in chemo for 4 years. Dang it.
Well, there's another weird thing too, is I kind of feel like there's been a couple of things that people didn't notice, which is there's something QAnon I've been talking about for a long time. QAnon is very dangerous. And I've said this, once the people stop listening to Fox News, that void could be filled with QAnon. So we need to be even more careful about misinformation. But I lost my place. That's what a good psychic I am. I can't see 2 seconds ahead of me to what I was just talking about.
But while you're thinking about that, though, I want to point out again to my audience who might be like, oh, Graham, what are you doing having some crazy psychic on? Everything Karen is just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been telling you, start getting into cryptocurrency, because financial experts are saying the dollar is going to we're going to have a financial collapse. And so, I mean, if people on Wall Street are saying this, and you've got socialist economics like Richard Wolff, and now we have a psychic saying it as well. I think we got enough evidence. Like, I mean,
I think I'm the credibility here.
Yes, I think so, Karen. I mean, literally, like, it's like we could, because we've had Christy I on this show, who works at Boom or Bust. She's a financial expert. She's talked about this. She's talked about countries and hedge funds, they're doing what's called shorting the dollar. They're betting that the dollar is going to tank. And that's why Bitcoin is going through the roof. And that's why all these other alternative coins are going through the roof. Like Rockfin, the platform we're on right now, which is a blockchain, and it does cryptocurrency. So their token, the Ray token, just broke $1 this past weekend. And it's never been over 90 some cents. And it's a year ago, it was 18 cents, 19 cents. And now it's doing this. And so it supports really what Karen is saying, everybody. And I've been talking about, it's time to figure out how to grow your own food. It's time to figure out a lot of stuff. And now you're saying that you're seeing that same thing. And
absolutely. And just so everybody knows, if you can, get yourself a Berkey water system. When COVID hit, I ordered mine immediately, and they're this water system that you put together, and you put water in the top, and it literally is like contaminated water can be cleared. And they're sort of like the doomsday prepper kind of thing. But if for an earthquake, you're set. And it's better than any water you'll buy. So get it, and get the fluoride filters also. But absolutely, it's funny because I bought a little bit of Bitcoin when it was like 9,000. I looked today, it's 15,000.
Yeah. Wow. You got in at $9,000. That's great, Karen. I mean, that's
I bought like $100.
Hey man. But that's what I'm saying. I tell people, I go, look, do your own research on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Like I'm not a financial expert. That's not what this show is, but I've done a lot of research. That's what I'm seeing. And I tell people, I'm not saying liquidate your whole in retirement and put it into Bitcoin, but start putting some money in there as a backup, because if there's a run on the banks, which again, they're talking about could happen with this financial collapse. And that's happened in other countries. That happened during the Great Depression. So what happens is you've got $5,000 in the bank, and you hear there's a run on the banks. Everyone rushes to the bank to pull their cash out, and the bank says, oh, we don't have it. So you can give maximum $500 in cash. And then you're like, huh? And then your account is frozen, and you're like, it can get really gnarly.
And also, I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but a lot of places are running out of coin change 1s and 5s. Yeah. Because they stopped printing them or something. And I am not, I try to keep, although you can't do it, I try to keep my electronic money to a minimum, or any tracking thing. I can get that paranoid about it. But I have been telling everybody, November, December, most of January, get in lockdown. You're probably not going to want to leave your house. It's going to get that bad. And it's probably going to be some sort of trifecta weird thing. Like it could be an earthquake, or I'm a little worried about Trump setting off bombs. And that kind of stuff, like literally going to war. But it's going to be between November and January inauguration. You're going to see things you never thought you'd see. You thought COVID was surprising to see the world in masks. There's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff that you're just going to be like, what's going on? I think people aren't going to believe their eyes. So that, and also I feel like, especially the end of January, people will be out again. And then today they announced about the vaccine, which don't send hate mail, but I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm not.
You are in a safe place here, Karen. I don't know that I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm reluctant. I've said on the show a million times, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've always brought up, like, well, they figured out they cured polio with the vaccine, mumps, measles, all this stuff. But I do not trust these big pharmaceutical companies and this rush for everybody to take it.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. I just don't. So
yeah. There's something too. This is sort of a weird. So I know what I was telling you. There's a weird communication that is going on. And I don't know how it's been kept so under the wire, but it was like 4th of July. There were Trump parades everywhere. My sister lives in a town that has hardly any people. And, 5 or 6 cars come down with the Trump parade. It was not set on the news as like a story. Trump parades all over the cities, all over the United States. But if you look, every individual city, you know, Tampa had one, Arizona had one. And something is very organized there, that they all got word, you know, when and how and this. And usually that stuff leaks out. I feel like we've had an unbelievable amount. This one is only my conspiracy. This isn't even my cards. But we had an unbelievable amount of fireworks that went on in Los Angeles for months before 4th of July.
Months. Right? Every night since the George Floyd protests, like they kept going off every night.
Yes. And I feel like that was some sort of communication. I know that's crazy and I'm going that far out, but I felt like that was some sort of a communication, you know, all of that, you know, we love our country, we're patriots. Mm-hmm. And it started again before the election. I'll tell you, right here in Van Nuys, I think it was a couple days before the election, they had a Trump parade and the police were all directing, and they shouldn't have been because it was illegal. We weren't supposed to have these long parades stopping traffic. But I don't know if you've noticed since the election, they have been so quiet. There has been no backlash. There has been nothing. And somebody is telling them to wait. That's what I feel like is going on.
Yeah, there's been some people. Yeah, but since Saturday, there's been some people, but yeah, there hasn't been a lot of, I mean, I don't know. There's some, like the Proud Boys assembled in Salem, Oregon. There's been some other things like that, but I do agree that I was expecting it to be louder. The Trump supporter response to Biden declaring victory. I was expecting that to be louder. It hasn't been thus far, which is, yeah, it does. There does seem some very coordinated stuff. I mean, some people talk about the fireworks were just designed to keep everybody sort of off balance, like because they're ramping us, they're trying to push us into a civil war. So we're all off balance. It's not just COVID. We hear fireworks. There's all these movies and videos always getting us to fight and battle with each other. I mean, this is what they did in Yugoslavia. There was a lot of division and undercurrent of problems there, but the media, and not just the news media, but entertainment, pushed a lot of messaging of, that's how they got people to be okay to just like kill their neighbor or whatever. And there were some groups that were openly violent, and some people just had no choice. Like these groups were coming and they're just raping and killing everybody. So we got to fight back. But then it just brought out the worst in everybody. I mean, there's obviously, I'm very, very generalizing what happened in Yugoslavia, but there's this interview that Chris Hedges did with this woman who was in Yugoslavia. She's Yugoslavian, and talked about how there was years of sort of lead up to get people in a place to where they were okay with it. And we're sort of numb to the wars that we bomb. All the people we bomb, we're numb to what's happening in Yemen. We're just numb to it. All the movies I go through HBO, Netflix, all the show. It's all negative. It's all fighting. It's all violent. Like I did Comedy Film Nerds for 10 years, and just like the last 3 or 4 was like everything is a violent kill.
Revenge.
Revenge. A lot of revenge stories. A lot of and getting the audience to be like, get them, and put us in that fervent state. And people don't realize that we're like in class warfare, not to diminish the systemic racism that's in this country, but like, it feels like the people in power have to keep us divided that way, because if everyone got together, if the Trump supporters and Black Lives Matter and everybody, Antifa, all realize, who we're all getting screwed over by? It's these billionaires in that building, right? Then that's what the ruling class doesn't want. Anyway, this is me just going off of in my thing, but like, I wish people would realize that. So what else? So you're saying by February, it might just be all up for grabs, that America is no longer America, or not a president, or?
I think it's going to take a little longer than that, but I feel like February is when stuff starts to clear up, when it starts to get better. So we got to just make it till January, and whatever is the big thing that's happening, February is going to start to feel better. I feel like where there'll be faults in the system, communities will come back together. Smaller communities will come back together, take care of each other. Is the power on? Is this happening? You know, that kind of thing. And I think that's where we start to heal and get better, because at that point, you may not have Republican or Democrat. You may just have people trying to get together. If there's problems with food sourcing and stuff like that, that's when you kind of are going to see your neighbor come back together. I do think everything I don't feel terrible about 2021. I feel like it's going to be a growth, but it'll get better after we get over this big bump. It's like having a baby. COVID was the contractions. We're about to hit the birth, which is painful and horrible and messy. And then then you have a baby. So then it's better. I do feel like worried about the market. 2022. I kind of feel like things will be back in order. So we won't have like years, like the United States is not going to be totally destroyed and just, like Mad Max. We are actually going to rebuild in a better way. But I do think, and I don't know how this is going to happen, but when this stuff starts coming out, and it's so interesting because I'm a big no 5G person. Okay. And
Right.
the whole thing is the big tower is a lot of EMF. It's going to start killing things. And it's so close. It has to be 3 to 5 houses between. That's my belief. It's bad. Actually, everybody, I'll be a real hippie now and tell you this is a crystal called shungite. It's a mineral. It actually blocks EMF. And a small amount like this on your person or a little bit on your phone, very inexpensive. Look into it. I have it all over my house. Really cheap. Comes from Brush Up. What they say then is they go into somehow that gets connected to Bill Gates and vaccines and now we're all being data tagged. I don't know about all that. Just let me tell you, the towers are bad. Don't live near one. It's going to make you feel sick. But that's what QAnon and those people are doing. And this weird, I know there is sex trafficking going out there, but I actually had a historian on my Paranormal Karen that was talking about this whole thing of save the children. There's pedophile children rings. That has been going on for years, for hundreds of years, where he was even talking about some schools in England that were named after a boy who was pushed down a well by the Jews, and he was then tortured, and it put the whole story, and it's never happened like that. Like, people know it never happened like that, but that story became legend and just traveled through time. But he was saying how it's always like the children, save the children. And you see the people believing the QAnon in the tears. And it's like, what can you do at that point?
Yeah, I mean, QAnon, I've talked about it a lot on this show. They'll get some things right. Like, I've done a lot of research on the Epstein case, and there's just a lot of hard evidence. And I know some journalists about, yes, there is a global sex trafficking ring. And then, but QAnon's like, yeah, we got to stop the global sex trafficking ring. And Donald Trump's the hero to do it. That's where it's like,
yeah.
And it seems like QAnon is actually being weaponized to not just be conspiracy theorists, but to become sort of this fascist army that thinks they're doing the Lord's work or whatever. I don't know what it is. I think they might be involved in this whatever cataclysmic civil war event that you're talking about. They'll definitely be in there somehow, but it's like we've got all these fractionalized groups. We've got Proud Boys, we've got white nationalist groups, we've got the Boogaloos, we've got QAnon, we've got just regular people who own guns. We've got, I don't know, it's an insane
stopping
mix.
traffic, deciding to stop traffic and get out there and he wants to claim about Antifa. Antifa's not a group.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It just means anti-fascist, and there's not like a clubhouse or a Facebook page or whatever. Like, they're just
rules.
Like, or rules. It's just like, hey, I'm against I'm an anti-fascist, and some people go, that means we're going to go protest. Some people means, oh, let's smash everything up, whatever. They're just like, so it is kind of crazy. So, okay, well, where do you see this show going?
Let me get my cards out. I have to say, I feel like you and Jimmy Dore are going to become very important voices. and people like you, because I really do feel like the media is going to fall apart. And when the truth really comes out, I feel like it's going to be the small independent thing. Listen to this person. Listen to this. First of all, wow. So you actually have, just hold on right now. There's something going on with what you're doing right now. And I almost feel like this is odd. This may have been your move, but there's something that you have left behind. And I'm just going to leave that for a second. And everything has stopped right now. You're going to have two sort of I'm just going to call them starts or rebirths, and they're going to come in two spurts, and they're actually going to be very good. The first one is going to get you over the hump, and the second one gets you like a second jump. And I don't feel like this is a format or something. It literally feels like two starts. So, and it's odd. I don't have a stop like, hey, I quit and now I came back. It's like two starts. Like, we're going to this beginning and we're going to this one. Right now, just hang tight where you are. Let me see what these are, because I don't know that they're formats. You might actually find someone that wants to budget this or pay this a different way. So you might be taken out of your own thing onto a channel that would, not like Spotify did with Joe Rogan, but a way that there's a different income and a different backing. That is, you're still doing your own thing, but that's coming in. That seems like later. That seems like the second jump. But the first one is going to come, and you're going to, it's almost like one day you're going to turn on your numbers and be like, oh my God, wait, what happened last night? And it's going to be this huge, like, just bam, it just went. Because your career in this is still in a manifestation stage. Okay. And like I said, these independent voices are going to become very, very important, because there's going to be this embarrassment about the national media that is different. So when this happens, your people that watch and listen, share, hey, listen to this guy, put that out there. But it seems like there's this one big boom, and it probably will happen between now and January. There's something about this change that's so intense that nothing is going to surprise me. And then there's a second restart. You may actually get some help from a female that is in this industry or in this business. And she may actually be sometimes I think it looks like a news person that is on the right side of it. Somebody that's been booted off, that is still a little bit of a name, but that might be somebody that's helping you get on that level or that launch or something like that. But you actually are important as a healer in this. So know that you've set the groundwork, you've got it all done. It's almost like, when you're a comic and you want to do that Tonight Show or this or that, all that you always want to do it. But then when you do it 12 years in, you go, oh my God, I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. So you've been doing all that groundwork to make these two leaps.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I have this last couple of weeks felt a little frustrated because the YouTube algorithm is messing with my numbers, and this election was like, like we had we're picking between a pedophile or a meth head. Like, these are our choices, like it's really, and I definitely have felt a little sort of dejected. And like, I don't know if I want to do this and stuff like that, which is probably why it took me so long to get like a new TV background or whatever after I moved, because that was the plan. I was going to move and bing, boom, boom, get it right. My studio was set up exactly the way it was back where I was at and whatever. But but it's interesting you say that. It is, and that is part of the sort of YouTube digital content creator game, is you kind of get these big boosts and then you kind of do this for a while and you feel like it's not going anywhere, and then another one, boom. And so, yeah, that makes sense. And there is talk. There's just been a lot of talk of like, hey, what if we got if we got real backing and someone got a real money behind it, all of us indie media people could have like under one roof, but we would need real financing, and we would need somebody that's not going to censor us and tell us, oh, don't, don't make fun of them. They're one of our sponsors. Like, or, you know, like, so that does make sense. Everything you're saying does make sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Anything
it's coming.
you see?
When is your birthday, Graham?
August 5th.
Oh, you're a Leo like me. Okay, so that's 4. Okay, so you are literally in a numerological year 8. This is your career year. This is where don't even hesitate to say out loud, I want that, I want this, and just let it happen. Okay, last year was a 7. 7s are very heavy. They're very, what am I doing? Am I in the right spot? This year, you're going to feel like the wind is at your back whenever you want to do something. So just set it out there.
Okay.
After your next birthday, you'll be in a 9. That's when whatever does not serve you goes away. So you'll feel another transition. But I just feel like you and so many of you independents that have been speaking a language that may have gotten you ostracized from a lot of stuff, including comedy. This is coming into your time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great, Karen. I really appreciate you saying that.
As the world is destroyed, you will be doing great.
Well, that's good to know. That's while Rome is burning, we're gonna get maybe we're gonna cross 100,000 subscribers.
Get a sauna. You'll have a sauna right there. Sauna, new Porsche. We got a fireproof porch. We're driving right through Armageddon.
Oh God, I've got an electric solar powered sports car. This is fun. Yes. This works out. Well, Karen, thank you so much for taking time. I know you did a show earlier tonight. Thank you for coming on the show. Where can people follow, listen you, see your comedy? Because I really want people not only to pay attention to what you do, you know, as paranormal and all that, but you are a brilliant comic.
Thank you.
Just watch Karen's comedy and you'll know how funny she's what we call, she writes a lot of one-liners, which I have the utmost respect for one-liners, because for the people out there, like I've got some bits that are 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes long and there's punchlines within them, but one-liners, you got to they're like, your jokes are like 40 seconds long or whatever. And you got to like crank out so much funny material. And I just,
thank you.
It's so great. So the audience, please. So tell everyone where they can watch your stuff and listen to your podcast and all that. And if they want a reading, where can they go?
Absolutely. Well, everything, they can just go to my name, KarenRontowski.com or ParanormalKaren.com. If you sign up for my email list, I send out about 1 every 3 months with a whole bunch of misspellings. So you'll know it's me. You'll know someone has hacked my account if it seems to make sense. But also in the next couple of weeks, I have a new CD coming out, and it's called Psychic Stand-Up Valentine's Edition, because I do the tarot from the stage. And I just, I want to do a whole bunch of that. It's kind of an improv where people ask me questions and I answer them, and it's funny. So that is going to be coming out. It's only going to be $5, but if you get on my email list, and if you just go to my website, you'll see you can buy a reading. You can take my tarot class, which I'm having technical problems with at the minute, but I teach a tarot class. You can get a reading. You can see my stand-up. So sign up for the email. Instagram, just look for Rontowski. There's no other Rontowskis. No one else would dare to use that name.
No one would use, especially no one's going to use Karen now, and no one's going to put Rontowski together with it. So you really, you've carved out your own lane, Karen, and I think it's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Graham. You're doing great work. It's more important than you know.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I have so many days where I'm just like, I'm alone in my apartment, just like, what am I doing? Am I really going to just go on camera and yell on YouTube about how everything's messed up and whatever? And so I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, it means a lot to hear you say that. So, well, all right, Karen, I love you. Thanks for taking time out. Everybody go to paranormalkaren.com or KarenRontowski.com. Whichever one you remember the easiest, and check out our work and get a reading, man. I'm telling you, get a reading. She's gonna nail some stuff, especially if you're skeptical. If you're like, this is bullshit, then I really say get a reading, because she's gonna call something. You're gonna go, wait, what? How did she do that?
Or you'll go, no, and then you'll call me in 6 months and go, you're not gonna believe this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you did that to me.
That's how it works.
that you give me one. You're like, oh, this lawyer is going to come in your life and he's really going to help you out. And I was like, all right. I mean, I know a bunch of lawyers and whatever. It's LA. And then yeah, all this shit worked out. That was crazy. So thank you, Karen, so much.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thanks for coming on the show. And
thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Get a Berkey.
Get a Berkey. Stay safe. Get a 100-pound bag of rice. Yes. And take care of your neighbors. That's the key part here. All right, sweetie. We'll see you soon.
Bye, hon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Karen Rontowski, everybody. She's such a sweetheart. I love Karen so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at grahamelwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.